Okay, hi, how you doing? Today we're going to go through just a real quick survey of all of the vessels that we can find on the different models. And so I'm just going to go through quickly, but then you'll be able to stop and pause and take notes and use your keys or your pictures in order to make keys for your lab practical. So first thing we can start off, we'll start at the top and we'll work our way down. So first thing, let's start with our venous sinuses. So we have our venous sinuses here, okay, on split head, and what we can see is right here, the straight one is straight sinus, and then it goes up into inferior sagittal sinus, and then superior sagittal sinus right here. Okay, there's three sinuses on that one. There's three more sinuses right here. Okay, and on this one, okay, so you can get your bearings here. Okay, this is inferior, so we have the occipital sinus right here. Okay. This right here up top, this would be the superior sagittal sinus we saw before. Now, on here, you see, and get it close enough, right here to about there is where the occipital bone stops. And so from here to here is your transverse sinus. And then when it makes the curve around, that's your sigmoid sinus right in there. The sigmoid sinus would be on the temporal bone. Okay. All right, so those are your six venous sinuses. All right. And we'll work our way to, we have a circle of Willis. Okay. Now, circle of Willis, this is anterior, this is posterior. We can see here working our way up, we have the vertebral arteries here, kind of making an upside down V, which go into the basilar artery here, okay, which goes into the circle. And we have these vessels here, this is the internal carotid artery, which comes up into the circle. Now, the circle is made by, you have two, one over here and one over here, your two posterior communicating arteries, which would communicate your posterior cerebral artery to your middle cerebral artery. Okay? These going up, that's your anterior cerebral artery. And then this crossbar right there, that's your anterior communicating artery. Okay, that's the circle of Willis. Okay. All right, let's work our way down. Okay, and we have some external of the head. Okay. Now, on the wire model, okay, it's kind of tough to see in the wire model, but this is anterior here. Okay, so then anteriorly, red, okay, we have the facial vein. Then right here we have the temporal vein in the middle, and then the occipital vein back, or artery. Sorry, artery. It would be facial artery, temporal artery, occipital artery. Flip on the other side. Blue veins, anterior. Okay. We have our facial vein, temporal vein, occipital vein. Okay. Now, with the arteries coming out, we can look at the heart. Here, we have the aortic arch. Ascending, it goes brachiocephalic, common carotid, subclavian. We can see in here, okay, in red, common carotid artery. And it goes in, internal carotid, external carotid. The external carotid then go to all the ones on the outside. Okay. It's back here, we have vertebral artery. With the veins, we saw the three veins here, but then we have an internal jugular vein, which is also this big one right there, this big blue one, right up against the common carotid. Okay. We have an external jugular, and then we have, next to the vertebral artery, we have a vertebral vein. Okay. All right, so now, coming off of the brachiocephalic artery, turn this around, okay. Brachiocephalic artery here, common carotid, vertebral. This is subclavian, okay, under the clavicle. So you can see here, subclavian artery and subclavian vein here. Then they're going to split. Okay. First split, for the veins, okay, you have the axillary vein, cephalic vein, basilic vein, brachial vein. the arteries, just right here, okay, you have subclavian, then right here, okay, would be your axillary. Now you don't have the axilla, okay, the armpit, so you can't really see where that is, but on another model I'll show you can actually see it. Then we go down here and we can actually see the brachial artery. On this model here, it's a little nicer because you can see subclavian when it's above the shoulder here, and then from this point to this point is axillary, where the axilla is, and then from this branch down the humerus, that's brachial. Okay. All right. Going up here, okay, is the arms. Okay. This on the outside, cephalic, going all the way down. Then right here, this is the median cephalic, also called a cubital vein, because the basilic going all the way down. In the middle, median basilic, also called a cubital vein. Okay, the veins. Here, these inner ones that are branches off of the brachial. Right here, we have medial, okay, would be ulnar. Lateral would be radial. Okay. This one in the middle is median antebrachial vein. We have a palmar venous arch, we have digital veins. Over here, a little bit simpler, because we just have brachial, to ulnar, radial, palmar arch, okay? Digital veins. All right. Now, we got all the upper body, now we can hit the torso. Okay. All right. And with the torso, try to lean this forward. It's kind of tough to see. Okay, what you're seeing is, okay, right under here, right there, the first one down off of the aorta is called the celiac trunk. The celiac trunk is going to split. The celiac trunk split. And it splits into the splenic artery, okay, into the hepatic artery, which goes up into the liver. Okay? And then it goes into the gastric artery, and the gastric artery is this little loop right there. The veins are the same. So you have the gastric vein here, you have the splenic vein to the spleen, it's the spleen. Okay? But this blue vein on the hepatic artery, the blue vein is actually the hepatic portal vein here. The hepatic vein is actually back. Back right here, number 45, is the hepatic vein back there. Okay. Now, another thing with the veins, okay, coming in here, okay, you can see it on the heart, but you can also see it here. See the brachiocephalic veins. They're draining the jugulars and the subclavian. They drain into the heart. Okay. Inferior vena cava is underneath the heart. You can see the inferior vena cava here. Okay, it's the big one. All right. Now, off the celiac trunk, just below the celiac trunk, you're going to have the renal arteries and veins. Okay? And renal artery and vein, they're going to the kidneys. Okay? So this splenic to the spleen, renal to the kidneys. Then, just below the celiac trunk, you're going to have right here, okay? These are the superior mesenteric artery and superior mesenteric vein. Then, just below that, down here, you see this here. Twist it a little bit. Right there is the inferior mesenteric artery. And then it matches up with the inferior mesenteric vein. So the artery and vein are right here, inferior mesenteric. Okay. On this model here, you might be able to see it. Okay. Here a little bit better because the liver is cut away. Okay. And so you have, right here, this is the celiac trunk. Okay, right here, sorry, celiac trunk, right here. You can see it's going to the liver, it's going to the spleen, and below that, that's the superior mesenteric. renal vein, artery, inferior mesenterics right here. Okay, going down, this is nice because you can actually see this short section right here and here. Okay, that is the common iliac artery, common iliac vein. It's real short, and then it splits internal iliac artery, internal iliac vein right there, which means this part right in here, these are external iliac artery and vein, and they eventually become the femoral artery and vein. Okay. All right. On the legs, I don't love how the legs are done on this model here because they're kind of twisted around. Okay, but what you can see is at least the femoral artery right here, and then right behind the knee is the popliteal artery. Okay, so you can see that reference point there. On this one here, the femoral arteries actually, or femoral veins cut, and so then what you're seeing, the big one, is the great saphenous vein going all the way down. Okay. And the legs, down here, see, it's kind of tough to see. But you can still see common iliac, internal iliac, external iliac to some point. Okay? And then when it goes outside of the pelvis here, then it would be femoral. Okay? Let's do the arteries of the leg. Okay? This is deep femoral artery. Here's the femoral artery. Okay? Down somewhere around the knee here, this would be the popliteal artery. So we go here, okay, down the foot. We have, on the medial side, we have tibial. Tibia is medial. So we have the anterior tibial is in front and medial. Posterior tibial, okay, is also medial and back. Then this one right here, lateral, this is the fibular, also called peroneal. Okay. When we get into the foot, okay, here, okay, on top of the foot, dorsal pedis. So we have the dorsal pedis artery, okay, and the dorsal arch, okay, on top. Bottom of the foot, plantar. We have the plantar artery and the plantar arch. It's on the bottom of the foot. And then we have digital arteries there. Okay. The veins do the same thing as the arteries, but you have a couple extra veins. Okay. So, just like the arteries, and here you would have femoral vein and then deep femoral vein in back. Okay. Deep femoral. So we had femoral, we have deep femoral behind it. Okay. We still have here, okay, medial, okay, medial anterior, so this is the anterior tibial, and then right here is the posterior tibial, okay, it's behind, and then this little cut one right there, that is the fibular. Okay, so those are all the same as the arteries. You've got femoral, deep femoral behind it, anterior tibial, posterior tibial, fibular. There are two extra vessels. You've got one going here, okay? That's called the small saphenous, and then this big long one, you can see how long it is, going all the way down on the medial side right there. That is the great saphenous vein. Then we get down here to the foot, okay, and it's fairly similar. Fairly similar in the foot to the artery, except, okay, we have dorsal pedis veins are on the top of the foot, and up to the arches, and there's like these three little loops right there, these arches, okay, dorsal pedis venous arches. So you have dorsal pedis vein, then you have your arches, and then past that you have your digital veins. Okay, dorsal pedis, top of the foot. Now, underneath the foot, you got this little loop here. Okay, the veins here and here. Okay. Those are the plantar veins, and then this little loop right there, that is your plantar venous arch. Okay? And your plantar, and then your plantar veins are down there. So dorsal pedis, top of the foot, plantar is bottom of the foot. Okay, so those are, you know, these major ones here of the body. Quickly on the heart, okay, here. A little bit of the heart, and I know I pointed this out on the heart video, but we also have, okay, make sure you know, right here, This is the right coronary artery. And then the left coronary artery is just to here, and then it splits into the circumflex artery and the anterior interventricular artery. You also have anterior interventricular vein right there. Okay. As we go around, this is the circumflex artery right there. But the vein, as you go around, this vein right there, okay, that's the great cardiac vein. Until it gets to this big wide spot right there, that is the coronary sinus. Okay, with your posterior interventricular artery and vein. Okay. Last thing, fetal. You saw in the heart, I know I talked about the foramen ovale and the ductus arteriosus. Here's your ductus arteriosus. Now here in the adult heart, that's the ligamentum arteriosum. Okay. The fetal heart is kind of small, but you can also see in the fetal heart, if I can get it sideways. Okay. I can put this hole right there. Okay, right there. That's the foramen ovale, it's a hole through the heart. That's the foramen ovale. Now, in here, okay, we have, remember in the fetal system, the umbilical artery, there's two umbilical arteries, they're blue, they're coming in, and you can see the umbilical arteries actually down here. Okay, so they're going out. Coming in from the placenta, nice and oxygenated, it's red, it's the umbilical vein. You see the umbilical vein is in here in the umbilicus, umbilical cord, and then it goes to this red, and then right here is umbilical vein into right under the liver, that's the ductus venosus, so it's umbilical vein to ductus venosus there. Okay. I think that's the major vessels, the system that we're going to be using, and we'll be using those on the test. So hopefully you can see those, and that will help with your key, at least the explanations of where all these vessels are. So thank you. Hopefully this helped.